2025 is apparently going to be the year of really thin and lightweight smartphones. Samsung already beat Apple to the punch here with the new Samsung Galaxy S25 Edge. It was actually announced back in January, but now it's officially available, and I got to spend about an hour checking it out. So I wanted to give you a first look at what this phone is all about and how it might stack up against what we know about the upcoming iPhone 17 Air coming later this fall. So here's the deal. I hate to just boil everything down to two words of thin and light, but that is the main selling point of the S25 Edge and what is rumored to be the main selling point of the iPhone 17 Air. So how does a phone like this actually feel? Is it impressive and worth potentially more money than some of the other phones out there? And well, you guessed it, it's super thin and it's really light, and I definitely understand how this type of design could do really well on the market. If you like large phones but just hate how thick and heavy they can be, well then this is perfect for you. It's honestly just a bit comical at times just how light this phone felt in the hand, especially when holding it in one hand and then a flagship phone in the other like the S25 Ultra or my iPhone 16 Pro Max. It's incredibly noticeable. The S25 Edge actually weighs about 163 grams, so for reference, an S25 Ultra is 218 grams, and an iPhone 16 Pro Max is 227 grams. So obviously, on paper, there's also a pretty noticeable weight discrepancy here, and they're basically the same size smartphones. So picking up the S25 Edge for the first time, it just felt so great in the hands, and I can see again why this could be appealing. Even though we associate lightweight and maybe even thin sometimes with kind of cheap, it is very premium feeling thanks to all of the premium materials that are on this device. Now, the thinness of the device is a bit deceiving here because at some angles, I often found myself saying, wow, this is incredibly thin. I mean, look at the buttons, look at the USB-C port, it's like not even centered, it barely fits, but then again, putting the device next to or on top of another one, like the S25 Ultra or iPhone 16 Pro Max, I felt like they weren't that far off. Or maybe it was just my eyes playing tricks on me because the X25 Edge on paper is about 5.8 millimeters thick. The Ultra is 8.2 millimeters and the iPhone 16 Pro Max is pretty much the same at 8.25. So obviously there's a huge difference here as well. When you're combining that frame, that thin frame, with a light body, it's just a recipe for success in my opinion. Of course, with a body this thin, there are going to be some sacrifices, and battery life is going to be that first question many people are going to be asking. Unfortunately, I don't have any real world usage for you right now, so once my unit arrives, I can maybe get you a little bit more of a real world battery test, but the S25 Edge has a 3900 milliamp hour battery, so just keep that in mind. Obviously, it's a bit on the smaller side compared to most phones of this size, but we all know that there were going to be sacrifices, and it'll be interesting to see how the battery performs in the real world. Also, probably, is it going to bend in your back pocket? Obviously nothing I could have tested out either, but it did feel really durable, so just keep that in mind. Now the phone does have a 6.7-inch AMOLED display, and it comes with a 1 to 120 Hz variable refresh rate, which will certainly eat away at power, especially if you keep it up to its max resolution of QHD. You can probably bump it down to FHD if you want to keep that battery life going strong, but it's such a beautiful display. It's flagship quality. I love Samsung displays, and it is going to be a little bit of a trade-off there with a smaller battery and a nice display. The back of the phone has two cameras, which is definitely a step up from what Apple's expecting to do with its iPhone 17 Air, where it's planning to include just a single 48 megapixel lens. The S25 Edge, however, you get an additional 12 megapixel ultra-wide camera to go along with that same 200 megapixel sensor that is found in the S25 Ultra. And so I can show you a few photos from our S25 Ultra versus iPhone 16 Pro Max video, since those two main cameras are basically going to be the main cameras found on the S25 Edge and the 17 Air. So let me know what you think of the photos. But of course, I did take a couple of photos during my hands-on time. I'm not allowed to take those photos with me, so you kind of have to look through one screen to another screen. But I was still very impressed with how good I thought that 200 megapixel sensor is, especially when cropping. This was a 10x photo that I took of these books in the kitchen, and it looks really good for a 10x crop. You can see the text super clearly, and everything was really crisp. So as you can see, we have the 1x, 2x, 10x style of zoom. There's stuff in between, but you do have that 0.5x for the ultra wide. And you can see here we have an ultra wide shot that is fine. But of course, again, I'm gonna have to do some real world testing with the camera. And in the future, when we have both phones, we'll do a comparison there. But yeah, just check out that video if you want to see more photos between the Ultra and the Pro Max, because again, those are going to be the same main sensors found on each phone. The S25 Edge runs off the same Snapdragon 8 Elite chip, so I can kind of tell you it's going to run really well because I've used that chip before. You're going to get a lot of the same AI features that are available across all of the other devices, so that includes that new Now Brief and Now Bar, which are okay. I mean, I like that you get daily reminders, you kind of get checked in here with your schedule, what your calendar is going to be, weather, driving directions, whatever the case may be, it's tailored towards your day. You also get Google Gemini that's built right into the device's OS. It can be easily accessed via a long press of the power button, and you get the same conversational AI voice assistant that we have grown to know and love between Samsung devices that already have this, and then of course Google's own devices that have been running Gemini. You can even get it on an iPhone if you want. Now this also integrates really well with Samsung's first-party apps and third-party apps, and it's able to really fine-tune what it is you might be looking for. Like I asked for upcoming playoff games and then create calendar events based off of those games, and it does it all in one query, which is really nice. Now, there aren't really any other S25 Edge specific features aside from that new thinner and lighter design, and so obviously the rest of the device is just going to behave like the rest of the S25 lineup. You kind of pick and choose parts from different phones. It's currently slated to fit right in between the S25 Plus and the S25 Ultra in terms of the price, so you're looking at $1,099 for the standard 256 base model. I'll be curious to see if Apple actually matches the price kind of perspective here. We had rumors that this was going to replace the iPhone 16 Plus, so there wouldn't be a 17 Plus, and it would kind of just slot right in between the 17 and the 17 Pro, but are the prices going to be different? That's something that we'll have to wait and see. But it does come in 3 different colors. There's titanium silver, titanium jet black, and titanium icy blue. And you can pre-order the device with a bunch of savings and discounts by clicking the link in the description down below. But I would love to hear from you in the comments down below. I think Samsung's actually going to sell quite a bit of these phones. I think Apple's going to sell a lot of the 17 Air when that happens, if it happens. And I just think that people really will go into the store. And that's the thing, you can't really judge it all too much without actually going in and holding it in your hands and taking a feel of what it is. It's basically flagship level quality with very minimal sacrifices, really just not getting a few extra cameras and a couple other bells and whistles. Mostly battery life's going to be the biggest thing, but you have to go in and feel it for yourself. But I would love to hear from you in the comments down below what you think of these thin phones that are going to be hitting the market here in 2025. This has been Dan with MacRumors. Thanks so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you around in the next video.